It's 2012, it's morning, and we are watching Ugandan television.
Hello and welcome back. This is the topical discussion on the Morning Breeze on NBS Television. My name is Simon Kagwanjala, and well, we're also weighing in on the raging debate on homosexuality in Uganda, which is...
Simon Kagwanjala didn't know it, but he was about to become famous. Not just Ugandan TV famous, but internationally internet famous.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr? Pepe Julian Onziema. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Yes, he did. Right out of the box, his first question to a trans man was,
Why are you gay?
First question. There's a long pause, and then Pepe Julian Onziema answers,
Who says I'm gay?
Another long pause.
You are gay. You are a transgender.
What shows that I'm gay?
You are a transgender, and you're a gay rights activist and an outspoken...
This is just the beginning of an interview that goes on for, get ready, 70 minutes. 70 minutes. There is a call-in segment, which did not go so well. And an anti-gay activist, a pastor, in the studio.
It's a gay disease. Get over it. It's not true.
Pastor, relax. Pastor, relax.
It's not true.
Yes.
It's just... Actually, it's your ignorance.
This interview went viral. Not just like for a few months viral. A meme was born. GIFs, videos, remixes. Here's just one.
Onziema, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for...
Good morning. Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay. Why are you gay?
Cucumbers. Who says I'm gay?
You are gay. Why are you gay?
I've laughed at this video over the years, clipped on the internet. It's funny. But it's also always sort of in the back of my mind made me feel uncomfortable. Like, I've never dug into it, but I knew that there's a bigger story here, one that I instinctively, as an African, knew wouldn't be funny. That was 2012. In 2013, the Ugandan parliament passed what became known as the Kill the Gays Bill, which became law in March of 2014, but later that year, it was struck down by the courts on procedural grounds. Then in 2023, Parliament passed an even more draconian bill.
Uganda's parliament has voted to increase prison sentences for homosexual acts.
This new law prescribes death penalty for some homosexual acts.
It's called the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023, and on May 26th of that year, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni signed it into the law.
A 20-year-old man has become the first Ugandan to be charged with aggravated homosexuality.
The new law calls for life imprisonment for sex between two people of the same sex and death for what's called, quote, aggravated homosexuality. The law also stipulates that you can face 20 years in prison for the promotion of homosexuality.
This one is especially problematic because it's really vague.
This is Rights and Wrongs, a podcast from Human Rights Watch. I'm Ngofeen Mputubwele. I'm a writer, a lawyer, and a radio producer. Human Rights Watch asked me to look at human rights hotspots around the world through the eyes and ears of the people on the front lines of history. This week, when Are You Gay? Is a life or death question. In this episode, we're going to look at what led to the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023 and what it now means for human rights in Uganda.
I knew.
You said when you were 7?
7 years, yeah. Yeah. I would look at boys instead of girls, so I didn't know what it was. But later, as I grew older, I understood.
This is a young man in his 20s we're calling Emmanuel. He's gay, but his family doesn't know that. He has a girlfriend, she's a lesbian, and he says they each use each other for cover. 2 years ago, on March 30th, 2023, Emmanuel got on his phone.
I got on Grindr, wanted a hookup.
Emmanuel says that in Uganda, no one puts their real picture on Grindr. You put a picture of a movie star or a singer or something. Only after you establish contact with someone, then you might DM your picture.
He sends me his picture.
Yeah.
He directs me to his place, which was like 30 minutes away from my home.
Emmanuel lives in Kampala, the capital of Uganda, a large, sprawling African city. He takes a boda, a motorcycle taxi, to meet his date, and when he gets to the gate outside the man's house, he texts him.
So I texted him, I told him, oh, I'm here. He didn't come from inside the gate, he came from out and said, this is not my home, but it's, somewhere near my home.
Right away, Emmanuel senses that something isn't quite right. Not only does the guy apparently not live where he said he lived, the photo Emmanuel received doesn't match the person in front of him.
I just wanted to maybe leave, but in a friendly way, not like, just ghost the person.
Yeah.
So after that, we sit somewhere in the open, and he's like, I'm not gay. I just work for the police. But from talking with you, I feel like you're a nice person, and I don't want to hand you over to the police. By that time, he had my phone in his hands. I had given him my phone. Like he asked me, what type of phone are you using? Like he's looking at my phone. So immediately when he said, I'm not gay, I'm working with the police, I didn't wait to hear other words. I was already, fighting to get my phone out of his hands.
Is your reaction like you're thinking, or is your reaction like physical, like just like movement?
I think it was movement. I had to run away because by the time you go to police, nobody's going to ever see you again.
This is taking place just a few weeks before the Anti-Homosexuality Law 2023 is signed into law. Gay sex has already been criminalized, though the penalties aren't quite as extreme as they'd soon become. So, when Emmanuel says nobody will see you again, he's talking about not getting out of prison anytime soon.
If the family has like money, they'll get them out somehow. Yes. But if your family is homophobic, now in my case, and then they don't have like money, then you're gonna stay in prison.
Emmanuel says he's close to his family, but he did not think he could count on them.
I'm good at hiding it, and my family, no one knows. My mom, she would send me pictures of, like someone with intestines out from the ass, those pictures, nasty pictures.
Explicit pictures of naked men with prolapsed anuses, implying that this is what happens when you have anal sex.
And telling me, don't be gay, what, no child of mine is gonna be gay. I hope you're not.
So that's why Emmanuel thinks he can't count on his family to get him out of this kind of trouble.
So me, I panicked immediately. I grabbed my phone, like I was grabbing my phone so that I can just run away.
And why didn't you want to leave it behind?
Because there are my photos, there's like evidence, and they could find me easily with my phone. I was so fast, I couldn't tell it was me. But the body is in survival mode, so you're running, and you're not even thinking about getting tired.
So he's running for his life, surprised at his own speed, but he's in a neighborhood he doesn't know well. He runs onto someone's property and hides.
It's like outside toilet, not inside the house. I wanted somewhere to hide because the guy was running right behind me.
The guy comes through the gate and onto the property and says to the people living in the house there, There's someone in your outhouse.
And that person is a thief. He told them I was a thief. Had stolen something from him. So I knew if I stayed in there, they were going to catch me. So I just got out and started running again. As soon as I started running again, now, since there were very many voices, they started making, noise. And before I knew it, there were like a lot of people chasing after me. Catch him, catch him, catch him, catch him, catch him, They caught me. So as soon as they caught me, he told them I had stolen a phone. So I told the people immediately, this is my phone. I haven't stolen anything. He's the one trying to steal my phone. I can even put the password. Can you ask him to put the password in the phone? So immediately, as soon as he realized that wasn't working, he had to tell them, oh, this is a gay guy. And I'm police and I'm trying to catch him. And in Uganda, as soon as you mention gay, nobody's gonna listen to you. Everyone is gonna turn against you. So even the people that were a little bit on my side turned against me immediately. And I saw people get angry. They changed looking at me like, okay, now this one should be killed. So I knew it was over for me. I had also given up because at this point there were like tens of people around me, slapping me, kicking me. And it was getting worse by minute.
The guy from Grindr, he's still there.
He kept on, saying, this is a gay guy. He raped some boy up there, up the hill. We're attacking him. All lies.
When you say it was over for me, what does that mean?
Over, I mean like I was going to get killed. It has happened before. There have been some reports in Uganda where people are beaten and killed as soon as people know they are gay. So I knew that was what was going to happen to me. Fortunately, the police arrived that was working with the guy.
So the mob was about to kill him, but then the police that are working with the guy from Grindr suddenly shows up.
There was a policeman in a uniform, full uniform, Ugandan police uniform. Then they put me in handcuffs, then put me in the car. I was thankful that the police came at that moment. Because if they didn't come, I would have, maybe died. But still, these were also enemies.
When we come back, we'll hear what those enemies did to him.
My name is Belkis Villa, and I'm an associate director in the Crisis, Conflict and Arms Division at Human Rights Watch. Recently, a colleague and I traveled to the remote Nuba Mountains in Sudan. Hundreds of thousands of people have fled there to escape fighting between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces. It was only by visiting camps there, where no other international organization is present, that we were able to collect the stories of people who were subjected to and who witnessed horrific attacks, killings, rape, and torture by the warring parties. My colleague and I are now urgently writing up our findings and will use our reports to press countries with influence in and over Sudan to protect civilians and send desperately needed aid. We can't do work like this without your support. Please go to our website, hrw.org/podcast/donate. Thank you.
Emmanuel had been rescued from a mob that was on the verge of killing him, and now he was handcuffed in a police car with a person from Grindr who said he's working for the police, and some uniformed police officers.
So, as we are driving to the police station, these people keep asking me, why are you gay? Why should you be gay? What? So just to get out of the situation, I told them I'm doing this because of money. I want money. I told them I'm a student and I'm just, looking for a little money to survive at campus. They kept on saying those, like bad words, harsh words to me, a few slaps here and there as we're going. So when we reach the police station, they don't take me out of the car. So they told me, it's illegal in Uganda to be gay, and you're going to go to police. And once you go to police, you're never going to come out. So they are like, since you're a student, we'll forgive you, but you have to give us something. I don't have money. No, you gay people have money, what? So I called a friend of mine. He's gay too. So I had to tell him straight up. I had gone to meet a hookup, and it turns out he's police, and I'm arrested. If I could, finish the story, they grabbed my phone and started talking to him and asked him for 1 million Ugandan shillings. He said he can't afford that. So we had to, negotiate with them. We negotiated.
Yeah.
And told them we could give them 500K.
500,000 Ugandan shillings. It's about 140 US dollars, 118 euros.
So, after the back and forth, they accepted. My friend sent the money on my phone. We drove from the police station and went to a mobile money agent, withdrew the money from my phone and handed them the cash. Then they let me go. Lucky that I survived. Lucky, yeah. It was a horrible experience.
One of the things about his story that is really sad to me is how people who are supposed to protect you, in this case police, are the ones who are involved in harming you.
This is Oryem Nyeko. Oryem, what do you do? Who are you? What do you do?
So I'm a researcher at Human Rights Watch. I cover Uganda, and I've spent the last 2.5 years doing research about the impact not only of the Anti-Homosexuality Act, but about the sort of broader anti-LGBT climate in Uganda.
Oryem was the lead researcher and the author of a recent report for Human Rights Watch called "They're Putting Our Lives at Risk: How Uganda's Anti-LGBT Climate Unleashes Abuse." Oryem listened to my conversation with Emmanuel, and we debriefed after. When you hear the conversation we just had, what comes to mind for you? How does this fit into a bigger picture?
Emmanuel, he's an example of many people whose lives have been impacted dramatically by what's been going on in the last 2 years. It's not the law specifically, the Anti-Homosexuality Act, that has made life really difficult, but it's the climate around when it was being passed. So when this law was introduced in Parliament in around March of 2023.
The same month that Emmanuel went through his ordeal.
At that time, there was a lot of anti-LGBT rhetoric and discussions that were happening in the media in Uganda. And I think that many Ugandans believed those things. And, the consequence of that is that it's made, as I said, life really difficult for many people, not just gay people, but their family members, their supporters, their allies. It's very difficult to talk about homosexuality in Uganda right now.
Difficult and possibly illegal. Remember that the new law vaguely says that you can be punished for the, quote, promotion of homosexuality. Oryem says that LGBT rights organizations have been physically attacked and shut down across the country. And starting about 2 years before the law passed, the media had begun to hammer away on the topic.
Progressively, there started to be a lot of stories in the news about homosexuality and a lot of speeches by high-profile political figures talking about how homosexuality is a foreign thing and how young people in our communities are being recruited into homosexuality and how something needs to be done to change that. And at the time, it seemed very strange and out of place. I say this because I'm Ugandan and I spend a lot of time there. I'm familiar with what the issues are there and what people are talking about. And it just didn't feel very organic or didn't feel like most people were worried about gay people in Uganda at that time as a priority issue. And yet this was the main story in the news for a very long time. But it turned out that that was sort of a precursor to the introduction of the anti-homosexuality bill in Parliament.
Here's a little political context. The current president of Uganda, President Museveni, has been in power since 1986. Literally, he's been president longer than I've been alive. If you go check out our Congo episode, we talk about how forces in Rwanda and Uganda joined to invade the Congo. President Museveni was part of that effort. So now, back to Uganda. Museveni is now 80 years old, and he's recently announced his intention of running for office again in 2025. We're not going to get into how Museveni held on to power for that long. It's a whole other podcast. But let's just say that the anti-homosexuality bill he signed into law has received overwhelming support. As you've heard, anti-gay feeling runs very high in Uganda, as it does in many African countries. But that too needs some context.
Anti-LGBT laws, they didn't just come about out of the sky in many African countries. In Uganda, the penal code provisions that prohibit same-sex acts, which have been enforced since like the 1950s. It was passed by the British colonial government. And so what happened in 2014 is that the government now has added on to this anti-LGBT stance.
Many in Uganda, elsewhere in Africa, and really throughout the world, Russia, for instance, say homosexuality is a Western import. I've heard this firsthand. Don't bring us that Western thing. This is not part of our culture. Conversely, you hear many people say that extreme homophobia comes from the West, particularly from Western Christian missionaries.
There were a lot of people who were very interested in interrogating how, especially American evangelists, were involved or possibly involved in the support for this law. You know, a lot of people talking about how Ugandan legislators were pushed to introduce it by foreigners, Americans who were telling them that we need this law to be in place. But my problem with that is we are taking agency away from Ugandans and also culpability, responsibility. Because at the end of the day, it's Ugandan parliamentarians who introduced this law into parliament. It's Ugandan parliamentarians who debated it. And it's ultimately Ugandan parliamentarians who threw other Ugandans under the bus and made it possible that people like Emmanuel, who are just living their lives, can face really horrible consequences because we have this terrible law in place. If we want to address homophobia and make a more equal society without discrimination, without harm, without hate, then we have to tackle it from the inside. I feel like it's a distraction to focus on external actors, and that's not going to resolve the issue for us ultimately.
Then I guess, can you just tell me a little bit about the future, as in what's like the hope or the recommendation?
I mean, so basically the basic call is for the government to repeal the Anti-Homosexuality Act and put in place like mechanisms that promote non-discrimination. But to do that, I think what we really want to do is to spread the message and to promote this idea that gay people, it's an obvious statement to make, but they are human beings and they are Ugandans. They are not aliens. They're ordinary people whose lives are being impacted by this law in really negative ways.
After that whole situation, the entire ordeal, how did your life change?
It changed a lot because now I don't use like any app whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't meet new people at all.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I had my piercings, ear piercings. I don't wear those anymore. So I try to fit in as much as I can.
I don't know if you can tell this by listening, but when I hear Emmanuel, I hear him being very sort of like, it seems like he's being very quiet and hesitant talking about these things. And after his ordeal, it makes perfect sense. Emmanuel has retreated deep inside the closet. His family still doesn't know he's gay, and he lives his life in fear of discovery, of being outed. So with the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023, now the law of the land, and with the Museveni government banning LGBTQ organizations, and with talking about homosexuality in a non-negative light being something that could get you arrested for promoting homosexuality, what do you do? What can you do? And who can do it?
Era nabeeranga nnyo mu nnaku nga y'amaanyi nyeeke nga sinnazuula nti waliyo bazadde bannange.
This is the mother of Arthur, or Mama Arthur. Arthur is the oldest of her 5 children and identifies as non-binary. Arthur was kicked out of the house by the father, who blames Mama Arthur for having given birth to what he thought was a defective child and brought shame into the family. She's saying that the message she would give to parents with queer children is to befriend them and not distance them, as they're also normal.
There's a group of mothers who have, spent time advocating against this law.
Kunkosezza kubanga ne tusooka ne tubeerawo okusika omuguwa ne taata.
Mama Joshua is the mother of 3 kids. Joshua is very feminine and sometimes dresses like a woman. Before the law was passed and it was being debated in Parliament and in the press, they left their home to get away from neighbors who were threatening them. She's saying that she chose to be part of an advocacy group called Parents and Families of Lesbians and Gays because she has a queer child and she wants to fight for the freedom of queer children. This is Mama Dennis, who says this journey or issue has not been easy at all. It has been hard for her. And Mama Hajati, who says, when my child was growing up, he was like a girl and carried himself like one as well and acted like one, though I didn't care about it much.
This is really significant because in Ugandan society, mothers are really regarded very highly and their voices are meant to be listened to.
After Parliament approved the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023, but before the president signed it, a group of Ugandan mothers of gay and trans children wrote a famous letter to Museveni. It says, and I quote, "We have always loved our children, and this does not change when we learned they are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex respectively. Religious fundamentalists continue to condemn our children as outcasts and criminals who are destined for imprisonment through the mainstream and social media. It has been horrific to watch this form of hate speech against our children." This is Mama Rihanna, the mother of a trans woman. She says, "What made me decide to be one of the petitioners in the case regarding the anti-homosexuality law was that I felt I had to stand in and be there in support of my child and others so they can receive equality and freedom in their country. Also, that the government can extend grace, mercy, and kindness to the queers, which would bring happiness to us as parents." Museveni signed the bill anyway, but Oryem sees in their actions a reason for hope.
I think it's really significant because it just shows that this law is affecting everyone and there are many people who are not happy with it, and I think the discourse around it needs to be more nuanced and involve as many people as possible.
You can read a lot more about this on Human Rights Watch's website, hrw.org, where you can find the report, "They're Putting Our Lives at Risk: How Uganda's Anti-LGBT Climate Unleashes Abuse." The archival clips in this episode are from NBS TV, Deutsche Welle, and WION. The Street Sounds of Kampala come from a user who goes by Alan Tusime on the website Pixabay. You've been listening to Rights and Wrongs from Human Rights Watch. This episode was produced by me and Curtis Fox. Sophie Soloway is our associate producer. Ife Fatunase and Stacey Sullivan are the executive producers. Thanks also to Anthony Gale. I'm Ngofeen Mputubwele. We'll be back in September with new episodes. Thanks for listening.